Hey guys, it's Beth, and today I'm making over one of the Hobby Lobby mason jar hangers. I got this at Hobby Lobby from the spring section, so it was 40% off. This Farm Fresh sunflower stencil and this sunflower napkin both came from Amazon. Some twine, this little sunflower, which was also Hobby Lobby, Mod Podge, moss, cottage white, and Persian gray chalk paint, black acrylic paint, and hot glue. I started by taking the cottage white chalk paint and painting the entire bottom section, so everything that wasn't the lid. And I did do the back as well, just because I like them to be completely finished, but you don't have to do the back at all. So I just gave it one good coat of the cottage white chalk paint. And then after the white was dry, I took the painter's tape and just covered up the white and used the Persian gray chalk paint to paint the lid. I did front and back, and I just did one coat of that as well. And then once that was dry, I took the black acrylic paint and a fan brush and just lightly dry brushed some streaks on the lid on both sides. And then I opened up the napkin and removed the excess layer, took some water on a very small paintbrush, and just kind of lightly brushed around the image I wanted to use and just kind of like tore it apart. And just did that up throughout the whole napkin on that side, just to remove all of those sunflowers. And then once that side was done, I did do the other side, but I didn't really need to because it's going to overhang on the mason jar and you're going to be sanding it off anyway, so you just need to do one side. And then I just took a ruler and marked off some lines I'm going to be making. I want to break it up into 4 sections, so it's just over 12 inches long from the lid to the bottom. So my spaces were just over 3 inches. And then I just put some painter's tape on the lines I had made so I can paint those sections a different color. Then I took the moss green chalk paint and painted 2 of those little areas with that color. And again, just doing one coat. And I only did this on the front side that I'll be working with. The back, I just left the white color. Next, I grabbed my napkin and just did the same water on the paintbrush just to make the top a little bit more rounded. Saw where I wanted to put it on the mason jar and then applied Mod Podge a little more than the area I'll be covering. And then I used my heating tool to dry the Mod Podge completely. And then placed down my napkin where I wanted it. Applied my parchment paper on top of that and used my travel iron to iron the napkin on there. So it reactivates the Mod Podge and smooths out any bubbles or wrinkles. I then took some sandpaper and just sanded off all the excess napkin. And then I took this stencil and just placed it down where I wanted it to go. And then applied some painter's tape just to hold it into place. And then there's a little image on there that I didn't want to use, so I just covered up the stuff that was near the lettering. Then I took a stencil brush in the black acrylic paint and just lightly, with a little bit of paint on it at a time, not too much so it doesn't bleed through, and just dabbed it on all of those letters until I had them completely filled in. And then once that was done, I took a small paintbrush and the black acrylic paint again and just kind of filled in all of those spaces that the stencil leaves on all the lettering. Once it was completely dry, I took Mod Podge and applied another layer on the entire bottom section. I did not do the lid, just the bottom, and I just did a nice even layer throughout the whole bottom and then used my heating tool to dry that. Next, I took some twine and just wrapped it around a few times at the bottom of the lid and then just tied it in a knot over to one side. Next, I took my little sunflower and just cut off the little wire on it. And at first I was just going to leave the twine as it was, but I decided to make it into a little bow and then just added the sunflower to the center with some hot glue. And the last thing I did was just added back in a hanger. I put the twine through both of the holes and just made a little knot and cut off the excess. And that is it for this project. I just love how it turned out. Thank you guys so much for watching.